Okay, beloved shitters, this is my Talion Cedh update. It's Feb 8. I've played only large events or medium, sorry, I should say medium to medium events this year on Eureka, so excited to get out in the field and try this deck. Notable, I guess, changes. This is really just going to be for like friends, people that know me, anyone that's like knows something to fuck about Cedh, so feel free to chime in. Notable changes, Cabal Pit is going to come in when I get it in the mail, but otherwise I will annotate, so a lot of bling, just kind of cute. All the fetches and fetchables. I'll probably get the Surveil land too. You sometimes get a tap land turn 1 while holding up Counterspell, and then go all of your rocks turn 2. Cut the Takenuma for, I think, spell actually. Oh yeah, I play Strip Mine for Cradle predominantly. I don't want to like only have to Trick Bind a Cradle, but I guess I could Tidebinder it. Cavern as well for either Wizard or Fairy. Just fixing, and then this will be the Surveil land, I think, the Clearwater Pathway. Onto rocks. Jeweled Lotus, Crypt, Chrome Mox, Diamond, just all the fast mana, and then I need probably to get Dimir Signet in here because it's another rock that can go infinite colored with Hullbreaker Horde, Grim Monolith, Siggy, and Talisman, as well as the Dark Ritual. No Cabal because Echo and Twister and Cling to Dust all eat my graveyard. And then win cons, we have Blood Chief plus Mindcrank for the kind of like not so CDH one, but kind of old reliable. Consult, Tainted Pact. Thoracle, now the thing with Talion is Thoracle is really awkward because they could just feed Talion before your Thoracle trigger resolves and kill you. If you have TP or Consult on the stack, if you didn't just like do it preemptively. Or even so, it doesn't really matter. So I think I'm going to lean into Labman because you could still just reanimate it. You could have it on the field statically. It's a wizard for Cavern. It's 1 pip, so you could kind of play it out quickly. But also because we have all this burst mana and we're interested in like, not exactly pile cracking, but just drawing cards, I'm also going to try with the Jace Wielder of Mysteries. I just realized they're actually both Chinese. That's actually pretty cool, Chinese foil. Just got the Jason Felix signed one, which I think is pretty cool looking. Really good deal. Got like 12 bucks on TCG Play. I was really happy about that. Anyway, long story short. This is not a win con, but it'll tie packages together. So Snapcaster with Mission Briefing with Intuition. So this is going to dump a couple of graveyard-based cards like Labman or Thoracle or Hullbreaker Horde. So we have the Twister, very excited about this. This is the sort of collection centerpiece now. We pair it with Windfall and Echo of Aeons. We're playing in 3s for Intuition, but also we could play for Snapcaster Mission Briefing when 3s are broken up, depending on what we're casting out of the grave. And I was just going to say, you know, it's really expensive to do it with Echo, but thankfully it has its own flashback. So we're pairing those 3 wheel effects with, or more like 2 Twisters and a pseudo wheel, with Orcish, Narset, Notion Thief, also in Chinese, and Shieldred. So this strategy I belovedly called the Wieldred strategy. The Shieldred is the most fair of them, but also gains you some of your life back, and boy, do you have a lot of ways to kill yourself quickly. Entomb and Reanimate, also very useful for the Hullbreaker Horror, as well as the sort of like win the game Thoracle effects I talked about. And then the One Ring with Hullbreaker Horror, going infinite colorless mana draws you your whole deck. Then you find colored mana, and then you start looping the colored mana, which is, you know, a way for you to hold up interaction of any sort of type, and then just go for the win, which is really helpful. Onto the tutors. Vamp, Mystical, Imp Seal, Demonic. Could cut Limdolls, but being like a toolbox deck, it's pretty cool to have access to tutor plus information under the tutored 4 card to play like into the coming turns correctly. If that makes any sense, but it probably is cuttable. I don't know, we'll see. Tutors are kind of hard to cut before other things. Transmute, that's to get the ring into play, but also to get mana rocks into play to go infinite with Hullbreaker. But we could also transmute for Metamorph, which is pretty cute. Beseech the Mirror, just really good utility. We have the fixing for it, so we're playing it. Born Upon a Wind, I was also playing Quicken, and if I can find room, then I will be playing Quicken once more. But for now, we're playing Born for the big mana turns. And then what we're doing, so this is kind of like somewhat Talion specific tech, somewhat blue-black specific tech, and somewhat we are like a very draw-go specific tech. So we're playing this sort of coming cards. So Born, Brain Freeze, fair, but we can grasp an Underworld Breach and go for the Brain Freeze win, as we have a lot of the requisite cards. That's why we have the Grasp as well. We could also just, you know, Brain Freeze someone that went for a top deck tutor, Brain Freeze ourselves at the end of just like a flurry of spells to set up the graveyard for Cling, or to find Echo, a Snapcaster target, a Reanimate target. There's a lot of value, you know, for value as well for Yog's Will. We're also playing Mnemonic Betrayal, so Brain Freeze really targeted anywhere could be useful, because you could just Mnemonic Betrayal and win with someone else's Underworld Breach combo out of their, like, use their pieces, use your grave, which is kind of cool. Exile all cards from all graveyards. You can cast cards from your opponent's graveyards, but cards do go to your graveyard. Sorry, exile all cards from your opponent's graveyard. You still have yours to access. So then a couple of just like stapley cards that are also particularly still good, Eureka or Talion. You have Douthie, you have the Gilded Drake with some bounce spells, pretty cool. Fairy Mastermind, which is an infinite for infinite, an outlet for infinite mana as well. Oppo Agent, these are also controlling effects. Tishana's Tidebinder, we can reset it with our own draw bounce effects. Metamorph over Fimage, we want to like get a lot, if we're playing fairly, we want to get a lot of value out of everything, so sometimes I'll look to like Chain of Vapor my own rocks and thereby clones, and Fimage kind of sucks there, as well as it's easy to get rid of if, you know, people have a Kenrith or like Emil or just some like bullshit. So I prefer the Metamorph, and then it has the Transmute upside, so pretty sweet. Also castable off of infinite colorless mana to get someone's rock and then just go crazy. Sakashima to copy the Talion. I probably will look to put a second copy of a clone in here. I think it's going to have to be the other Sakashima or Spark Double because of the Planeswalker density I'm playing. I'll probably look to get some sort of like JP Foil, JTMS, and if so, I will look to play JTMS, Spark Double, and Ashiok as a Planeswalker variant of Talion. That'll probably have another Wrath or two in it, but just kind of like a note that could be kind of interesting. That'll be very mid-rangey, very much like farm-esque. With blockers and just activating your planeswalkers. As for kind of the trifecta here, we have Remora, Counterbalance, with no top notably, so maybe it's not right to play it. We're just playing it like, you know, raw dog as a stacks piece. Rhystic Study, and then onto just Counter Magic and Interaction to close out. We really don't, like in this build, I'm not playing Weathered Runestone, Cursed Totem, Graph Diggers, even though I'm playing Urza Saga. I'm just playing like full fluidity with the graveyard, a lot of burst mana, and a lot of soft permission. So I'm not saying it's correct, but it allows me to at least not fuck myself with my own stacks pieces. Onto counterspells, Misstep, Dispel. I haven't played this card for a long time. It feels really good in this shell. Swan Song, Fluster, love this fucking Fluster. Offer, might change this to the cat one, but I just kind of prefer foil. Drain, I don't know, like we have a fair amount of just honest to God, like playing mana rocks, untapping ring, just going for like using a lot of colorless mana turns, so I really don't mind playing this. Bouncing ring, resetting it. Force, Fierce, another Force, Misdirection, and then some like interaction here. So I play Cling to Dust because it's a little way to generate card advantage. You can fuck with kind of breach piles, and you hold up a lot of mana, so seems okay. Chain, you could use it on your own rocks, on your own stuff. March, that's another thing too, like at least with Chain, then if you have like, I don't know, like some Mnemonic Betrayal and Yogg's Will, you could get to like a lot of cards. You don't go infinite, but you can at least generate a lot of value with bounce a lot of your stuff, use someone's dockside over and over, which will allow you to do it without at least sacking your own Fimage. So it's just kind of like a small thing, but we'll see. March, Rift, new card, Cyber Conversion, for like Kenriths, Cannons, I don't know, like decks that don't have a lot of blink or self-reset but are very centered around the thing that would allow them to do that. So you just set that down and then have no one else kill it and kind of have them have to shoot their own thing, and then I can be the arbiter whether or not that resolves. Snap, Snap looks pretty innocuous and possibly cuttable because I have so much interaction. But when it comes to it, sometimes you need to get rid of your own Talion, and this is a really mana-efficient way to do it. But notably, like, you don't want to deluge your own Talion, it also is sorcery speed. You can Deadly Rollick your own Talion, but you cannot snuff out your own Talion, so we're playing with Snap. That's the whole list right now. It is a really, really fun and pretty difficult deck to pilot. It's been a great experience. You don't get a lot for free, as you could oops into just, you know, killing people with your eco triggers by comparison. But I think that's a great way to keep, you know, a great reason to continue to just learn as a player. No Doomsday, that was like another potential option. Just leaning into the Jace and the Labman. So if y'all have any suggestions, I'm all ears. Other things I've thought about are Riptide Lab to fuck with some of your wizards, Tishana's for extra value, etc. And then, you know, rather than having my current config with the graveyard, I could lean into more like tap out proactive stacks pieces. But for now, I like the playing at instant speed sort of idea that we have going here, because it couples very well with intuition, things that overlap with intuition at instant speed, and then the whole deck plays nicely with dumping into the graveyard, whether or not it's through intuition. So I think we gain more by being structured to play nice with our graveyard than we lose by not playing a couple of stacks pieces. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see y'all soon.